Hello, right, this should be working. I'm just going to move some windows around. Oh, look, right, you stop that. The video's playing and everything. God, dear, everything's broke. Every single time this happens, it breaks down. But anyway, that's live. I was going to say live TV, but that's live streaming for you, folks. Anyway, welcome to Band of Badgers. I'm Dave, that's me. I am your host for this episode, and this, however shambles it is the Great British Brush Off. And we're basically featuring the Dungeons and Dragons Frameworks series. Now, this is a special series of episodes, and for the first time, we are building. I don't know why I did this. We're building and painting a selection of minis from this new collection by WizKids. And joining us around the paint part is pro artist Richard DENYER from Warrior Prince 3D. How you doing, Richard?
Not too bad. How are you always doing?
All good, all good. I'm just making sure that everyone can actually hear everything that we're saying. Oh yeah, the build video is on, in fact. That's fine. Now, Richard is from the UK. So another person from the UK in the same time zone as us and only a little way down the road. Not so far away. So probably got the same weather. We've had a nice, well, most of the afternoon's been quite sunny. And it got really hot early evening. But there's a nice cool breeze coming through now. So... yeah, a little bit of blue skies. Other than that, Richard, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Looking forward to a bit of a chill out and painting.
We've all had a bit of a hectic, busy week. I'm on the water, and I think the guys are on beers.
Cider it is summer after all.
I'm on the soft drink first, and then once things get going, I've got a bit of mead to keep me going.
That definitely does help. I just saw, Steve, the Nightbot is saying Sorcerer Sundries.
Is it?
You've got layer on there.
Oh, I've got. It's because that's selected from last time. I've got two going at the same time.
Now, as always, as you can tell, I'm joined by Steve. So if you have any questions for Richard in terms of painting techniques or his business, what we're going to talk about today, do ask. Just put it into live chat, and Steve, his job is to not only paint, but also to shout them out, because it's really hard to look at the screen and paint minis at the same time. So do what you can. Use capitals if you have to. Yeah.
Especially when I had the great idea of putting the laptop over there, which is actually behind me when I'm painting. So, yeah, go me.
You didn't think about that
No,
move.
I didn't. No, that's all right. I'll just turn around.
Anyway, so shout them out as best you can. Use caps if you want to, and we'll answer them. If we happen to see one, we'll just shout it out as well. Now, this, as you know, is the brush off, and that means that we will continue to fight and compete for those very, very coveted gold stars. Now, this is episode 3. This could be a decider. I got the gold star in the first episode. Steve was like coming close set. Well, he did. He won in the second round. This is round 3. I'm coming out swinging, folks. I'm going to give this the best go I can. But basically, you, the audience, get to judge us, as well as Richard. So Richard makes the final vote. He gets to pick who has done the best painting, and they will win a gold star. It's just for bragging rights, but it really is bragging rights. That's the best I could go for. Now, anyway, thank you to WizKids, thank you to Valhalla, and thank you, of course, to Red Grass. Speaking of which, about all of them peeps. I'm just going to quickly switch to my other camera. There you go. You can kind of see here. I've got these are the paints I'm using. They are Vallejo. I am using, for my selection, I'm using black, Stonewall grey, dead white, wolf grey. This is leather brown, and this funky little colour here, which I absolutely love, is Warlord purple. Now that is because I am painting a ghoul from the Frameworks series. You can see him there. And above me is my slight cheat. In the window above me is a video of me trying to put this one together. And you're just going to have to watch it, enjoy it, sit back while we paint. But it was my attempt to do it. It did get a bit fiddly. This one's quite small. So enjoy that. And of course, I'm using mine.
Yeah, so you gone for the small one.
Yeah.
I went for the massive beholder.
You've gone for the beholder.
In 2 hours.
Yeah.
I did go for the Minotaur thinking it was going to be a big model. A big model, as in Beholder sort of size.
So put it back on the screen, Richard. There we go. I'll swap the cameras over now. There we go.
Well, that's not that big, is it?
Yeah. It is a great pose, though. I love the kind and the.
There was 2 poses in it as well. Cause you got two. There was two different weapons. So you got the single-handed sort of pose with that one, and then you've got a different axe. It could have had that it's a double hand sort of pose.
Yep.
I quite liked the open chest and the head version of that one because there's also a much sort of more wider horn head as well.
Yeah.
So I preferred this build of it.
Cool. So Richard, what's your plan of attack for your Minotaur? What's to give out some kind of advice? How do you once you've primed a mini? What's the first thing you go for?
The first thing I go for is usually sort of the biggest part or the most treacherous bit to paint that could get ruined or could sort of affect other places. But this one I'm going to go start with the chest flesh at first before the fur.
Yeah.
And what I'll start doing is I'll do sort of like a manual zenithal sort of highlight with dry brushing. Pick out some light bits and pieces using pale sands.
Yeah.
Basically sort of underpainting, bringing out some of the lighter places, possibly then glazing over with some of the browns or going in with the airbrush with a contrast.
Oh,
seeing how it
goes
goes
nice as well.
Yeah, got to cheat a little bit.
So, Steve, over to you. What's your plan of attack?
So all the technical words that Richard just used, I'm doing that as well. Only I was not aware what it was actually called. But underpainting, that's what I'm doing. So I prime in black, so I can then dry brush to zenithal prime, highlight in, and then I normally throw an ink on. But because of the size of this, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to dry brush straight in colour.
As I say, I mean, usually what I do, I've got one of these, the Liquitex inks. I zenithal with, but usually want to give it a bit of time to dry, so I figure that a dry brush might be a bit better.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
I forgot the hair dryer tonight.
That's it.
Right, we'll give you as much time as we can then, Steve. It's nearly 9:10. We're gonna kick off. So this is kind of a chilled session. It's very zen, but we're going to talk to Richard about his business. So stay tuned for that. It is Warrior Prince 3D. I don't know when I met Richard. It was a couple of months ago now. Bumped into a couple of times, and we've had a few chats.
Good few months,
yeah. Lovely guy, and he's local. So we've got our Badgers barbecue coming up in a few weeks. So hopefully we get to see Richard there as well. I'm gonna, in the background, I am gonna put on some tunes for everyone. So for those of you watching live, please let me know if it's too loud, and I'll turn it down. I'm also gonna hit play on the build video, and then just loads of stuff starts to happen. And this is it. This is chill out. But
we have had a question in chat already.
Oh, go for it.
From Twitchy. He's asking if tonight we're just going to be doing the base coating. No. The idea is we're supposed to be finishing these minis completely.
Yeah.
So this is like the
better go on it then. Yeah.
This is the sadism show that you've tuned into this evening, where we punish ourselves for not finishing in 2 hours.
Yep. Pretty much. And let's put on a light. Do let me know, Twitchy, if the music is too loud. Let's see what happens.
With this guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what kind. Oh yeah, I was going to do that, wasn't I? What was my plan of attack? My plan of attack was just to paint the damn thing.
I was going to say, we never did discuss your plan of attack.
No, I don't really have. I am still very much a beginner. But this is the whole point of the show. If you haven't heard me ramble on about this before, the point of the Great British Brush Off is not to do baking, although we should do donuts one evening. It is to show that even a complete knobhead like me can paint and make it look half decent, actually. So
that's usually my line, you know.
Is to make it look half decent. So we're going to go for it. So Richard, Warrior Prince 3D.
Yep.
Do you want to kind of do the elevator pitch for everyone?
Okay, Warrior Prince 3D is my lovely little 3D printing business I've started. Basically, wanted to upgrade the D&D table to start with, and I started out with a little 3D printer and became somewhat obsessed and addicted to printing.
That does happen.
Yeah, it does. And then decided, obviously, I started looking into it more, researching bits and pieces, and decided I wanted to try and make a living attempt out of it. In order to connect with more people, provide more affordable models and terrain, because one of the things I got annoyed with a lot of times with sort of seeing some of the prices online, and obviously also models you can buy in shops we won't mention can be quite on the pricey side for what they are. So I wanted to try and find a way to bring much better detailed models, much more variety, and comparable prices and much better pricing. Warrior Prince was born. Started out with a couple of sort of different merchant licenses, trying to sort of see what would work. We started the Etsy store, and I was able to get a bit of a lucky break with getting Artisan Guild merchant license.
Yep.
I think it took me a few months to get it. Basically, it was a case of the first of the month came around when all the Patreon stuff would renew, and I would sit on their page refreshing every so often, hoping that someone maybe cancelled their merchant license, because obviously they're only offer a few. But got that, and their models are incredible. And we've been building on the store. Obviously, a lot of things have been a bit of a lesson in the pricing, postage, bits and pieces like that. I did my research and I was testing out resins to use. One of the first resins I started using was the Anycubic Grey resin, which was in itself was a pretty good resin, but very brittle, very hard on the machines as well. I was replacing FETs quite regularly, but that is the resin I started with. And my first sort of outing with the printing was printing a line of Lokis. Because my little sister, she's on TikTok and she does a lot of cosplay bits and pieces, and she is somewhat in love with Loki. She did a painting video of it, and lots of people loved it, lots of people wanted him, sold quite a lot of them, and she painted them for him.
Cool.
And that sort of gave birth to the big printers I have now. Well, I say have now. I have upgraded one of my printers recently to the new Anycubic M3 Plus, which is a 6K resolution printer. So a lot of miniature, the minis are now even better looking.
Is that what you print entirely in is resin rather than PLA?
Yeah, I don't have a PLA printer at all. The problem with some of the PLA ones is basically no matter what, you'll get lines in it.
Yeah.
So say like as we're dry brushing now, you won't pick out detail. All you'll get is the layer lines.
Yeah.
Especially with miniatures and stuff like that. They're very good for doing bases, cosplay pieces, big armor pieces and stuff like that. And when I did the Wolverine thing recently, I very much wished I had a PLA printer for the base of that, because that thing was huge.
Yeah.
And it does make life a lot easier when you're doing some of the bigger builds like that.
We've got another question from chat, Twitchy. If one were to be lazy, can you get away without primers and undercoats?
No.
You can't get away without primers because your paint won't stick.
Yeah. Pure and simple. If you don't prime it, most paints you'll actually get where it sort of balls up or basically slops straight off the model, won't actually sort of adhere to it at all.
Yeah.
The primer gives it a beautiful layer of readiness, as it were, so that no matter what you put on, your paint's going straight on.
Cool. Now, Twitchy is also a badger, and he's just mentioned there he's hoping to get one for the barbecue. So if you ask really nicely, and if Richard can make it, maybe you can save a few quid on postage and do a handover. Now I'm just taking money out of Richard's hands.
I tell you what, well, it's postage is one that is the banes of it all, because so the difference in pricing and postage for sending a simple mini changes the price of the mini, or even some of the prop pieces. Because if, say, you want to buy a single piece, but it happens to be just bigger than the width for the envelopes, it kicks the price up by a few quid.
Yeah.
Because the small parcel price now is £5, 5p.
Oof.
That's expensive.
There you go, Twitchy. I've just saved your £5.
I think his is being posted anyway. Bitsy's got.
Oh, there you go.
They are ready though. They're being packaged this evening.
Yeah, too late.
But for primer, twitching, you can spray it on, so that part of it is the quickest bit. It's everything else that takes time. So you can go in Halfords and get a plastic spray primer in grey or black, and they do really well.
When you do spray it though, always spray from the bottom first, so you get all the little under bit details. If you've got an airbrush though, I use this stuff, which is brilliant, which is the Valhalla Mecha Primer.
Yes, that's what I've got, yeah.
I love that stuff.
The £10 stuff from Halfords does a good job, and it will do quite a few minis. So you don't need to buy the more expensive primers from well-known manufacturers.
Citadel.
Yes.
I've nearly run out, so I need to get some more. But it's something I didn't think. So me and Steve and a few other badgers, we were up at in Birmingham for UK Games Expo, which was last weekend. It feels like it was ages ago. It was only last weekend. It was this time last week, basically. And I have still not had time to look at all the loot I got. And it was only today that I remembered, oh yeah, I meant to get some primer.
That is my my goal now, to start doing more events as well. Getting tables at places, and finding sort of different places to actually sort of, I say, sell in person, because the Geek Critique Reigate opening, where I met yourself, was our first sort of big event, and I had so much fun on the day, sort of meeting people and actually seeing the different people that different models people like, and different characters you can find of people, and and it is making those sort of the connections and stuff like that. It's like, it's doing this wouldn't have happened unless I met yourself at Reigate. And so I'm definitely wanting to do a lot more, getting into the cons and bits and pieces like that. I'm sure I've been sort of contacting some of the local shops around here, sort of trying to work with some of the D&D shops and stuff like that. 'Cause we've had a couple, or we've had one that's opened down in the town. They sell sort of booze and bits and pieces and do the gaming nights and stuff, and we've had another one that's opening this weekend.
Cool.
That are going to be doing sort of comics, all the geek bits and pieces, paraphernalia as it were, and they're more of a coffee shop than a bar sort of thing. And sort of wanting to sort of network more, because the face-to-face stuff is a lot more fun, a lot more personal, as it were.
Yeah.
And it's always one of those things very much a beloved of D&D myself, and always wanting to improve the game and sample more variety of people to sort of sit around the table with. So it's nice to meet the people out there.
It's definitely good. I mean, we had a lot of fun at UK Games Expo, meeting the people that we've met only on camera, and just meeting them face to face. I got some stuff signed. It was great to meet everyone, have a drinks and dinner and stuff. It was lovely. One of the things you mentioned, getting out there and painting. One of the things that was on at UK Games Expo was Citadel were there, and they had this massive kind of just like a circle of tables, and it was paint one and take it away.
Oh yeah.
So they were just doing that, and that had a big crowd. It was packed every day.
My biggest bugbear with Citadel is their stuff is good. You know, their paint's so good. I won't fault them, but whereas like Vallejo and Army Painter, they seem to sort of care more about painters and modelers in regard to their paints.
Yeah.
Even with the design of the bottles, you know, with the pour caps. Citadel purposely don't seem to do it because you have to water down all Citadel paints and you end up using a lot more paint than you need with the way their pots work.
Yeah.
I've not met anyone that doesn't waste Citadel paint, as it were, when they're painting. And it'd be nice to see a bit more care of the painting community, as it were.
Well, if you're interested, if you do that, and you want some backup, we are more than happy to bring a crowd. Because coming up, the next show is basically December for us. It's Dragon Meet.
Oh yeah.
In South London. It's down in Hammersmith. So I would check that out, and you can easily book a table and either teach or take commissions or whatever.
Because there was, I hadn't seen this before. There was a stand with 3 artists. No, the painting desk set up and everything, and you could go there and pay them to paint your mini that you just bought from the Warhammer stand next door.
Oh yeah, that was the very, very posh looking place, wasn't it? With the lights and everything was shiny.
Lovely lights. Stark white desks and lovely LED lights and stuff like that, and it's basically artists in a goldfish bowl.
Yeah.
Laboratory conditions.
Yes.
So do go and check out Warrior Prince 3D. His link should be going around in live chat.
And what I also meant to say is I've created a discount code for tonight. It will run for the week. If you do go to the Etsy store, put in at the checkout brush off 10. It's all caps. I presume it automatically does it on there, the coupon bit anyway. But get yourself 10% off of any order. Anyone in the stream.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And it is something I am happy to run more things like in the future for the Badger community. There's much rather have a nice community to provide for.
I like your Miles Morales model.
Miles Morales, it is a lovely one. That's another Sanix one.
Right. Yeah, I like the pose, everything. My kids are obsessed with Miles Morales. After playing the game to death on PS5 and watching Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So I might get that for them and paint it.
Wicked. My youngest loves that one.
It's a great looking mini. It's the fact that he's bouncing, he's kind of floating off a wall off of 1 foot. It looks incredible. For those of you who are interested in the quality of what Richard prints, if you go to Badger's YouTube channel, you'll see I've done 3 unboxing videos of the stuff that I picked up when I first met him. And not painted it yet. It's on the list. It's in the box of shame. It's not.
It's the shame. I mean, being able to print your own stuff daily, unfortunately, makes a rather large shame pile.
So how often do you, in terms of how much do you get to print for yourself versus having to print for customers?
The ratio has shifted somewhat.
Yeah.
But it's more sort of it's trying to keep up with bits and pieces. So I mean, the only time I usually print for myself is for D&D. But even then, time restraints don't always allow me to get everything sorted, and I do prioritise customers. I have a 2-week sort of limit on Etsy that I try and basically beat, because I don't like to be sort of making people wait that long. But the problem is it does sometimes sort of run that line, as it were, because if I get a lot of orders in, some stuff can sort of be done. The miniatures are done in a few hours, and I can do a plate of minis, anything from sort of 10 to 15 minis, depending on the size, in 3 to 4 hours, and that's them printed. But a multi-part print only has to have one tool bit that then takes 8 hours or 9 hours to print, and yeah, makes life a little bit more interesting. Statues tend to be that way.
Well, wait till
So
Christmas.
what's the longest print you've had to run?
The longest print I've ever run was a self-imposed print of 27 hours. And that was because I did the chest piece of a large statue at a 0.2 setting. So the standard layer height I normally print at is 0.05, and this was at 0.02. So it racks up the hours. Does wonders for the detail, but you've got to make sure that the supports are all right for it, because some of the stuff that will print at 0.5 will not print at 0.2 because the supports don't marry up to where they need to be.
Right.
So you could get fails as well.
So is there editing you have to do on the files then?
Sometimes, yeah. If you, I mean, some of the minis I've had to sort of edit slightly, because where I try and print them at 0.3, just for the better detail and less likelihood of lines. It might just happen to be like a finger or the haft of an axe or something like that, where they're supported at the height of 0.5. Where the support would meet the point that would print at 0.5, it doesn't exist at 0.2.
Right.
So you lose it, sort of thing. As I said, it tends to be sort of the smaller pieces, you know, tips of fingers, bits of weapons, stuff like that.
So we've got two more questions. Potentially might be one of your customers. We've got Super Rufus. He says, "Hey Richard, how is Constantine coming along?"
He's in the post.
Is that Constantine, as in Constantine that we know what we love?
It's a Constantine bust that gave me an awful lot of drip, unfortunately. The base for it has been printed 3 times.
Oof.
So my apologies, Mark, but it is in the post here.
And is that Constantine as the guy in the Mac?
Yes.
Cool.
There's a lovely print I did for Mark from a Kick Retreat. And yeah, unfortunately the base was a bit of a pain in the sun, so I've got some interesting fails to try and think of something to do with now.
And that was actually one of the things that is a reason that I met Richard. Is it was a geeky coffee shop that was opening up. For those of you who are local, or if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're local, Gatwick, it's Reigate near Gatwick. So kind of head that way. You'll find the shops, and because it was me and Steve and Joe were talking about painting busts, like doing something other than fantasy minis. And the first thing I saw was Spider-Man. There was a couple of other bits that I picked up as well that you'll see at some point. And that was it. And for those of you who know, I owned a comic shop for 20 years. So seeing busts of superheroes was fantastic. So marrying the two together, being able to do this with superhero busts was definitely on the to-do list. So it was fortuitous that I was there. We have another question from Twitchy, which is, what is dry brushing?
So dry brushing, I'll show you. Basically, where you either get a flat brush like that, or you get a much more fluffier brush, or a makeup brush, because makeup brushes are brilliant dry brushes. And it's one of you always want to try and make sure they're slightly damp as well to start with, not soaked or anything, but just a slight sort of dampness to them. You get a small amount of brush on the end of the bristles, and you basically either wipe it off on tissue or paper, depending on what the effect you want to go for. If you want a more drier, slightly chalky effect, go on to tissue paper, because tissue paper will draw out the moisture from the paint. If you want a much sort of smoother, more I say wet, for lack of a better word, dry brush, do it on a piece of plain paper, and you just basically get the excess off to whatever sort of rate you want, and then you just go over the model. Usually you'll do it on either the edges or in a light direction, so you'd literally just go one way and over the model, as it were, and it will create leave the paint on the raised edges where effectively the light would hit, and leave the underneath in shadow. Hopefully that made sense.
My attempt is basically use the brush, use the dry paint, put it on tissue, and then you just go. That's my attempt. Just smother it on, but I pretty much do that with the washes as well. Right, I'm going to attempt now. I'm using the Warlord Purple on my. What is this? A ghoul, a ghast, or yes? Is basically the answer.
I think that one's the ghoul, isn't it? The ghast has got crazy hair.
That's the white is the one with the hair.
Oh right, okay.
He's got the heavy metal mop, the blonde mop. The ghoul and ghast is a twin pack actually, but I only put one together and I didn't realise how small it was. But I was thinking it'd be bigger. But I will, at some point, I will get to do the his friend. But this is a lovely colour.
They've got some really nice decorative pieces in that box, haven't they, with the gravestones and headstones and stuff.
Yes, some really nice bits. And you can see, for those of you watching, doesn't matter if you're watching live or on YouTube, that right hand column on our screen, you can see the various. This is just the kind of minis we're painting in this series. This is not the entire range. But you can see some of the stuff we're doing, and there's the Minotaur right now. So this is the model that Richard is building and painting. These are sprue-based minis. If you haven't already seen our unboxing videos, do go and check them out. We have a whole playlist of frameworks, unboxings as we talk about them, and we've done an interview as well with JD Wicker. So do check it out. If you're interested in these, again, WizKid's first ever sprue-based minis. Tons and tons of detail. I'm just waiting for mine to dry a little bit at the moment. So Steve, how's the Beholder looking?
There you go. It's on screen at the moment. I'm going for red on the top.
Can you get it a little bit closer? Will it see if it'll focus? Go up a little. Hey, up a little. You were nearly there. You were nearly there.
There.
A bit closer.
I'll put something behind it. There you go.
I think he was okay, but a bit closer. It's because you've got this big pointy thing coming out of his head, look.
That is nearly touching the camera.
Go up a little. There you go. Look at that mouth. Wow.
So I'm doing red on the top,
yeah,
and on the front of the eye stalks, because I'm going to paint the sticky out bit as a flame bolt.
Yeah.
And then the back I'm doing in blue. So I've just put the purple on at the moment, and then I will dry brush on some more details. Probably put some more of that blue on actually, get a little bit deeper into the recesses.
Cool.
And then I'll dry brush some lighter highlights, and then go back over and do the detail on the eye and the mouth and the teeth.
Cool. Do you think it's going to be a mistake putting that big pointy thing on his head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Travel, Steve. Travel.
This, I think this will end up being a shelf item rather than a table item.
Cool. And we can just see, if you look at Richard's screen, look, for the very, very first time on the brush off, we have someone using the airbrush.
That is cool.
And it is the beautiful Squidmar Evolution airbrush.
Yeah, I like watching him.
I like watching him, but I tend to hate him because it's not right for someone to be that good. I get that way on Instagram, stuff like that, watching some of the painters and stuff like that. You love them so much, you really want to hate them.
So we were talking about decorative pieces that you get with frameworks. You actually do terrain as well, don't you, Richard?
Yes, I do quite a lot of terrain actually. Most of the Artisan Guild sets come with their little pieces of terrain, but Cast and Play, I got their Kickstarter for their multiple sort of terrain pieces, and they're brilliant. Sort of trees, sewer pieces, swamps, tree roots, anything you could sort of want and need. And I'd love to be able to print them all and have them all for my own personal collection painted up nicely, which I'm slowly trying to make my way through them doing so. But yeah, printed some off recently for customers, some of the trees and some of the other bits and pieces that have popped up on the Instagram. And yeah, they're just, the detail on them is brilliant. But yeah, definitely brilliant for the old tabletop.
They are. I mean, you put them down. I mean, you have painted minis, and that's one thing. But when you've got stuff on there that breaks line of sight as well, that really does elevate the experience. Oh,
that's it, and it does make a difference, especially with the combat as well. Especially when you deal with people that try to worm their way out of certain things in combat as well. It's a lot of fun. No idea if any of my players are watching, but
what game are you playing at the moment?
Homebrew.
Oh, okay.
I say homebrew, it's my own campaign I run. 5th edition rules, obviously. But yeah, so I've been pretty much the forever DM for a while, and I've created my own world, as it were. And every campaign I run is set in a different place around the continent, and there's a different arc of the story. Try and make them all sort of intertwine, guest cameos here and there, sort of thing.
Cool.
So in terms of D&D 5th edition, is that where you first picked it up, or did you pick it up before that?
No. So I first started D&D when I was 14.
Yep. Same as us, pretty much.
And I was grounded at the time, and my dad decided to take pity on me and took me along to his D&D session. And the guys did a first and second edition ruling sort of thing. 'Cause back then, obviously, it was, I don't even think 3.5 had come out. And I started D&Ding with the guys. I was only allowed to have a fighter. I was a typical teenager. And it went really well, and sort of fell in love with it. I still D&D with my old man. Comes around every Sunday, and it's the group we run. And 2 of the guys that invited me along back then D&D with me now.
You should bring him to the barbecue.
That is my old man wouldn't come.
No.
No. My old man, he's a lovely chap, not a sociable sod, but he's also wheelchair bound. So transport is not the easiest of things for himself.
No, fair enough.
So yeah, but it's a thing I put to the other guys to see if anyone else wanted to go, sort of thing. So.
Oh, that's what I meant to mention. Has anyone? I only saw it today. There, who is it? Green Stuff World.
Yeah.
That ring a bell.
Yeah.
Today, I saw on Instagram, I think it was, they have made a bottle mixer, an electric bottle mixer. So it looks like a toothbrush. You put this adapter on it where you would normally put your toothbrush bit, and it's USB chargeable. Then you put on this thing and you plug your paint thing right up into it, and it spins it, and it gives you and they show it on the video and everything else. You can find it on YouTube. And then when they poured out the paint, it was a lovely colour. You didn't get any kind of coalescing in between. Didn't get any oil in there. It was lovely. No idea how much it is.
I was going to say, that's the thing. They've also did a brush cleaner recently that looked quite interesting as well.
Ah. So, Green Stuff World, if you're watching this and you got this far, get in touch.
Yeah, please do.
We would love to...
love to test out new things.
Yeah. We love new toys.
Always love new toys.
So, question for Steve. We're going to come back to UK Games Expo.
Yeah.
Have you recovered yet? I am still achy.
I mostly. It seems like a very long time ago because I've had a tough week at work. So yeah, I have recovered. It was a great time. I did open quite a lot of stuff we bought Saturday night just because kids wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
I haven't played Mystery Box yet, so the kids are looking forward to playing that tomorrow.
Have you opened the box the mystery box is in?
I have opened Mystery Box, the box that the Mystery Box is in. And so there's quite a lot of paper on the top, and there is a newspaper article on the top.
Yeah.
As well that we've had a look at. It was
I had a little look at the newspaper article and I was like, oh, this sounds good.
Yeah.
But me being me, I want to do an unboxing video first. So if you want to see, if you're into mystery boxes and these puzzle boxes, do keep an eye out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/bandofbadgers, and you won't miss it when it goes live.
And I was going to say, with mystery boxes, it's the one thing I was actually considering doing, mystery mini bundle sort of thing.
Oh, this isn't a blind box or mystery box in that sense. It's a chest and there's a padlock. And the newspaper clippings is from the past, and there's a clue. You solve the puzzle, you open up the chest, and inside is some more artifacts, and another chest with another padlock. And then you have to, like, it's a bit of a mystery, and you have to solve it that way. Not a mystery as in what's inside. I'll find out.
A proper mystery box. Then.
Yeah, it's a company called the Mystery Agency, which is another UK company. So really keen to have a go on this. I'm gonna get a quiet moment, which is not.
I'll show you the box.
We're gonna do it now, Steve. We'll do it now. You'd have to switch your cameras over, Steve, so we can see the bigger you rather than the little you.
That's the box there.
There you go.
Oh, cool.
So it comes in a cardboard box, and then try and open this way, paint on it. And inside, when you open it, there's your newspaper. So yeah, I think they described it as an escape room in a box. So it's sort of the level of puzzles you'd expect from an escape room, but you have to break into this chest. And they did 3 different ones. We both bought the pirate theme one.
Of course, it's got to be done.
The chest looks great. I'm not going to get it out because I don't want to ruin the unboxing video, but the chest is awesome.
Balthazar.
Balthazar. Can't hear that name without thinking of Constantine.
Oh, I've got a tricky bit. I've got a butt crack. There we go. He's got his nappy on. His rags.
I've actually got a on the Valhalla special effects set for the undead. I'm looking forward to trying out on the couple of the things I've got. Last month's Artisan Guild. This guy, which is a lovely.
Oh, very nice.
One of the Droga. So yeah. Definitely prefer the 75mm stuff though.
Ooh. Yes, I agree. I just dropped my paintbrush and it landed inside the mini and I've just caught his leg. Damn you fingers.
So you always have a few brushes handy so you can just literally dip it in water and get it straight off. As long as what's underneath is dry.
It's gone quiet. This is the concentration part of the show. Everyone's like, yeah. So, Richard, in terms of painting minis or 3D minis or sprue minis or whatever,
yeah.
Do you prefer painting them when they're in bits or construct the mini first?
It really depends on the model. Most of the time I prefer in bits because I don't like having to work around bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You know, shields and stuff like that. But then at the same time, it does obviously. If you're just doing a speed paint job on it, you can just put a shield on and you know not have to worry about what's underneath. What I have started to try and do with this chap. I started trying to magnetise bits and pieces.
Oh.
So, you know, you can just literally take off and clip on. So when you prime, but obviously then again it depends on the size of the model. I have ordered some smaller magnets to sort of try and see what's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, majority of the time I prefer in one piece, as long as you can get to everything. Because trying to then stick things together afterwards, you run the risk of super glue vapors crystallizing and clouding the paint job and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or sticking your fingers to the model and pulling the paint off. Not that I've ever done that, I swear. No, so it's always good fun. But I mean, the bigger ones like this guy here, I'm gonna be painting this week's part of the new Artisan Mind Flayer like set. I'll just blue tack the bases on, so I'll take the base off to be able to paint everything underneath, and that is usually the extent. 90% of the time is just keeping the bases off, depending on what they are.
Cool.
Some of the bigger statue stuff, though, definitely in pieces. I mean, Juggernaut here. I have magnetised him. So his arm comes off quite nicely. This arm is glued on because everything can be got to.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just makes nice simple, paint as you go, put back on to dry.
Nice.
So, and even the legs, the boots are super glued to the base, but the top of the legs are magnetised. And with the smaller statues like that, it's also handy then for shipping as well, because you just ship them out in parts,
Right.
if they're painted.
So in terms of painting commissions and printing painting commissions, do you prefer an email? Do you talk to your clients? Depends on what they want.
I've not done many commissions. at the moment, because it's not something I've advertised as of yet. It's only something I've started recently doing. I've mainly used other people because of time constraints. I've mainly used other people for paint commissions.
Yeah.
My sister, I've recommended DV Miniatures, a bloke that I've done a lot with since I first started. Top bloke, Dan, and an incredible painter. So it's something I've only just started doing, and obviously the biggest one, the Wolverine I've done recently, has been sort of a lesson in doing bits and bobs with the commissions.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a case of email away. Hit up on the Instagram. We've got the Warrior Prince email address, and sort of we can sort of work things out and go from there. See what's needed and what's wanted.
Yep.
I was basically considering just painting things and putting up, selling, just painted statues before I started doing commissions, but it's just sort of see how things go and what time doth sort of tell. It's one of those things I've suffered with throughout my painting progress, as it were, imposter syndrome to a degree, and not thinking and struggling with the concept of, can I paint, can I not, is this all right? Seeing something and whether or not I think it's any good, and someone telling me it's good, I still don't hear it and don't see it. So it's been one of those confidence sort of things of, could I pull it off, could I do it, sort of thing.
I was going to say, you've made it to the lofty heights of the Badgers show.
Yeah,
of course you can.
No need for any higher sort of thing.
This is it. You are good. It is phenomenal.
You are good.
I find painting the
stats.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I find painting the statues to be better. It's something I've enjoyed more, but I'm wanting to do more minis, and more terrain bits and pieces, and more beasties. I've got some dragons I really want to get painted. Been in love with dragons since I was a kid, and I've always wanted bits and pieces. And Lord of the Print does incredible sculpts of dragons. I don't know if anyone's seen, I think it's Joe Mangoni's Tiamat.
Yes.
That was a Lord of the Print, and I've got that sculpt, and I want to get that printed at some point.
Yes, that would be incredible.
What first got you into painting?
My dad. I used to watch him as a kid.
Right.
And he was brilliant. Some of the stuff he's done over the years. My dad is an artist. He can draw, he can paint. And I used to watch him as a kid. He used to painted up a lot of the Hero Quest stuff, and obviously a lot of the first round of Games Workshop stuff. It was him that sort of got me into it. I started doing Warhammer with my mates throughout high school, and Inquisitor, which was the first thing that got me into these 75mm models, and sort of fell in love with them. But I always preferred painting to playing. I never did as much of the tabletop playing. Like the D&D, and I did a lot of Vampire Masquerade and stuff back in school. But never did as much of the tabletop. And then recently, it's been one of the sort of getting back into it, getting into the printing side of bits and pieces, collecting the paint sets. It's a nice haven in my little corner here, and it is that little sort of shut off from the world and being able to enjoy something.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
I mean, plus it's always been great sort of seeing the community as well. Since joining Instagram, I was never a big sort of Instagram person, but have mainly been doing it with the business and sort of trying to connect with people and seeing some of the great painters out there, and the community around painting as well, because everyone sort of seems to sort of have their own little niche and their own sort of take on it, and it's nice to sort of speak to people. And I love seeing the paint jobs of stuff I've printed for people. So if anyone ever does paint anything, please put it up on Instagram and tag me, because I do love to see it. And yeah, it's one of those things. It's almost like the old video games used to be, and still are to a degree. It's a nice little escape.
Yeah. It's one of those weird things. So Steve and Joe, a couple of years ago, before we started the Brush Off as a show, it was always a case of, Dave, paint. Just learn how to paint. I was like, nah, I can't. Just don't wanna. It's another hobby. It's expensive. Blah blah blah. It's a lot of time. And then I started the Brush Off show, just basically having an idea of, well, if I'm going to paint, I'm going to bring along some professional artists to teach me how to do it.
Take some buggers down with me.
Exactly. And it worked. And having this is kind of season 4.5, if you like, of the Great British Brush Off, because we had to rip off the Bake Off.
Oh, it has to be done.
It is the British way.
Well, that's it.
And now we've got the show, and that's what we do. But I've learned a lot doing it, and I love doing it. It is very zen, even though we're doing this live. It's very zen.
As I say, that's one of the next goals I'd like to do as well. I'd like to start doing more live videos and bits and pieces like that, and actually sort of get the face out to the community, as it were.
Yeah.
And and work with other people, and paint with other people. I would be quite interested in one of the brush offs. I will provide a load of models, and people can have a good go at that as well.
Yeah, happy to.
Which would be quite fun.
I'll finally be able to paint my Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. Might even print out a bunch of mini busts people can do.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We had talked about doing busts actually, because that's something we haven't done.
One of the companies, I say, a group called Loot Studios, who I've patroned with since I very first started printing, and love them so much I have bought pretty much all their old stuff, and they're a great sort of place for busts and D&D characters, because it's the place where for our tabletop we've got a lot of sort of inspiration for characters from, because they do 32mm, 75mm and a bust of their characters. So for people at the table, it's quite a nice little thing to have a big model or even a bust sort of next to the dice tray sort of thing. So
initiative tracker.
Initiative tracker. Oh yeah, like chess pieces.
Someone was asking me for initiative trackers the other day. Actually, I think it may have been a friend of mine.
It's like when you said like busts, because busts generally, like you get the upper chest or shoulders and head. Of course you do. And then if you put them on like a chess piece as the body, and then you just print them off a nice size, like I don't know, maybe a mug size. And rather not initiative trackers you put on your DM shield, but just on the table, like the size of this, you can't really see it, but the size of this thing, this paint handle, and then you go right initiative order, boom, 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 and then do a skull and crossbones for the monster.
Yeah,
that would be beautiful.
Done and dusted and sorted.
That would be beautiful.
I think I've got a bust up here somewhere on my shelves of despair. I think I've actually got one of the...
You got a question from Dragonborn Bard. He says, loot are my absolute favourites. NPCs galore. What's been your favourite loot mini bundle so far?
I'll have to have a look. I've loved the Elemental one that's just come out, and I really want to print some of the Elementals that are on that. I will literally, I've got a link to it. Bear with me 2 seconds, and I can answer that with accuracy.
And Dragonborn says he's painting up some loot right now.
So my favourite so far has been the Valhalla set.
Oh, as in Assassin's Creed Valhalla?
No. So it's called their Journey to Valhalla. And it was sort of like a big, massive bundle of things. It was not part of their normal monthly set, but was basically 4 monthly sets all in one. You had different. They did like a whole big story around it. So you had the Sea Tribe, Forest Tribe, Ice Tribe, and the monsters.
Yeah.
Very sort of Northman-esque. Like I tend to like and lean towards the Viking sort of side of things.
Yeah.
And it was the Askalung, the Sea Tribe, where it was my favourite set. Had some of my sort of favourite pieces in it. A couple of the guys I've printed out in sort of 75. And are on the shame shelf because I want to get them painted, but I haven't got round to it yet. And that was my favourite set so far. And the newest loyalty reward thing they've just done, the Angel in big armour. I want to get that printed as a statue size, and that would be. I'd love to have a look at that.
Steve, I've just noticed Nightbot is still saying Leia. It's doing Richard and it's doing Leia.
I turned it off.
Oh, it's still going. It's just popped up. And by the way, just to point out that Richard has generously given us a discount. It is, if you go to his Etsy store, it is, lose my voice, brush off 10, and you've got a 10% discount.
That's it, and that's 10% off of anything.
Cool. Now, if you happen, this video will go up over the weekend. If you happen to watch it, maybe you'll get lucky.
That code will be live for a week. I'll set it for a week. So
cool.
if it does go up.
Yeah, Twitchy, if you're still there, get some more. And in fact,
he himself has had the Badgers discount.
Oh, cool. I was gonna say, any other Badgers watching, and you're ready for the barbecue, do check out a range of minis.
And also, I do custom print requests as well. So if there's STLs that you have yourself or that aren't on the store, do hit me up with a message or an email, and I can sort of and give you a quote. And even if you want to, if it's just a mini and you want a 75mm as well as a mini or anything like that,
that's cool. Because
any question, any sort of query is always welcome.
Sometimes you get for those who've been watching this for a while, or some of our other shows, you know that Steve and I both do a lot of Kickstarters. We back a lot of Kickstarters, and quite often you get STL files. So, and not just things like Hero Forge, which are quite popular. People buy that, and you can buy them very, very cheap. But it's always handy having someone you know who can print them for you.
I say the Hero Forge, when you get the models off of them, they're about 40-50 quid, I think.
Yeah.
Not the STL files.
No,
the STL files.
The actual printed
£8.
mini. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have to pay for shipping.
Yeah.
You got any Xenomorphs?
Oh, aliens! Yeah.
Yes, I've seen one recently, and I meant to say to you actually because it was one of the first questions you ever asked me. It was about Xenomorphs. There was a lovely one on CG Trader and GameBody.com.
Right. So it's hard to find good ones. There's a lot when you get a lot of thingiverse.
If you go to GameBody,
yeah.
their stuff, the STLs are expensive, but they are worth the price. They're about $25, but their stuff's incredible. And CG Trader as well. Good place for sort of artists to go and have a look.
I will do that after the show.
So we're going to change topic just briefly. Richard, do you watch Stranger Things?
It is on my watch list of things to binge.
Okay.
But not something I have begun watching, unfortunately.
So I'm trying not to do spoilers, but season 4, have you heard what the villain is?
No.
Okay.
Is it cool? Or is it awful?
I think it's cool, but if I tell you, it won't spoil it so much.
Spoilers have never been a problem for me. Right. I enjoy the journey.
Spoilers, everyone. Fingers in your ears. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's Vecna.
As in actual Vecna?
As in, that's what the boys name him. From obviously, because they play D&D, obviously.
Yeah, I'd say, because
they're like, who's this villain? Let's call him Vecna. It's Vecna. So we've had what was we've had the Gorgon. Demogorgon. We've had the Mind Flayer.
Is it a proper Mind Flayer though?
Oh, you're gonna have to watch it, find out. But this is Vecna. Vecna is coming.
Definitely gonna be worth watching.
There was a free giveaway on D&D Beyond today, actually.
Yeah, they're doing loads of. I think it's just artwork.
It was a Vecna leaflet with all of his stats and equipment and stuff. You could claim for free.
You mean like his hand and his
Run him
eyeball?
in your game. No, as him as an actual character. So the weapons that he uses, the abilities he has. Yeah. So you claim that for free from D&D Beyond.
Yeah, the new artwork that they have out for Vecna's is very, very good.
So Vecna's one of those old ones. He's always been in. He is part of D&D, effectively, the foundations of it.
Yep.
It's like beholders and mind flayers.
He rises. He rises in the end.
The problem with using an airbrush is always making sure it's clean and sorted afterwards.
Steve, how's your airbrushing been?
It's okay. I wouldn't be confident enough to do a mini with it. I do the Dungeons and Lasers pieces with it, and I always use it for priming. But yeah, I have no confidence with it whatsoever.
Why is that? What is it you've not found you've not liked about it, sort of thing?
I enjoy it. It's the direction of the spray as it comes out of the nozzle seems entirely random to me and not where I'm pointing it. So what you were doing on stream, where you've got, it's in the background, you also have a lot of control over it, and you know where that paint's going. I have to have a spray booth in front of me so it doesn't end up everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
I do find it a bit of a faff cleaning it afterwards.
Yeah, the cleaning is a faff, but it's been a massive learning curve with it. I've almost compared it to printing itself, because it's learning a whole new thing, sort of thing, and going through bits and pieces. Steep learning curves.
But the time that it saves is unbelievable.
Oh god, yeah. Especially sort of with blending and even some of the doing the contrasts. It gives you such a better effect than just sort of putting the paint on for some reason.
Yeah. But again, when you see people on Instagram, and they're painting a space marine, I don't know how they do it.
And doing lines, that's what scares me.
Yeah.
Watching Angel on Instagram is that's very an envious task, that one.
Yes. Yeah, and you also have to remember that he's probably sitting in a really awkward position because he's got to hold the mini for the camera. Yeah. It's like I'm sitting here painting. I'm holding mini over here in front of the camera. That's not how I normally paint if I'm not videoing myself. It's here so I can see it. So I have a great respect for the amount of skill these people have, because it's
scary skill.
yeah, I was saying Dave, like when we first started doing this, to where we are now, and it hasn't been that long. We haven't been painting that long on brush off. It was about 18 months, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know how many hours that is now. I knew I clocked 50 hours.
But yeah, I'm really happy to put what I'm doing down on a tape.
On a table, yeah.
And the fact that we're doing, even considering doing something in a 2-hour window.
Yep.
It's just, you know, advice to anyone is just do it. Don't worry about what your first set of results are. Just be proud of doing it.
I said there was a beautiful post I saw after I'd come back from Reigate. One of the people I've met at Reigate had it up on their Instagram that your first time wet blending will look shit. Your first time dry brushing will look shit. Your first time, you know, but your 100th time or your 5th time or 6th time, you know, it's that curve. You know, just push on, go for it, and see how you get on. Try your own thing. The biggest thing I've sort of, you know, I've found is trial and error. Test your bits and pieces. Some colours might work for you, some effects might work for you, some might not. You might have to put 3 or 4 colours on and all of a sudden it will just bang and that's it, you've got it. And then you've got to remember how you did it, which is always the fun part. But, you know, it is that experiment fun, you know, that sort of you get and you learn the colours, you learn the brushes, you learn your technique, you learn what will work on certain bits and pieces and different surfaces and different, you know, it all has to be done that way. You can't sort of, you can copy someone and take advice and notes, but until you do it yourself and get used to bits and pieces yourself, you got to make it your own.
Mm-hmm. If you have a question for Richard or for me or Steve, do shout out in live chat for us. If we see a question, we will try to answer it as best we can.
I've got a question.
Go on.
How long have we got left?
We got half an hour left.
Oh. Right. Might have been off my nut and cheer here.
So we wrap up at, we've got half an hour left. That takes us to 10:45, and then we just we get to sort out the gold star reward and have a little quick chat, and then we call it a night. But this one, I'm actually I mean, I wasn't sure how this one would come out. Now it's painted, you can see how much definition is actually in there. I've added a little bit of wash as well for those muscles. He's got a lot of sinew and muscles. I mean, look at his, as we go under his rib cage, look. You can catch all of that, and on his back. Oh, this thing is going to rip you apart.
We love the old undead.
Yeah. And with a tongue like that, it's very much sort of strigoi, but it's not. It's a ghoul and a ghost. So,
campaign I just had sort of wrapped up was heavily on the undead front, which was quite fun. And it ended with basically they all went into the world of the dead as well.
Ah, very nice.
And had to try and sort of pass through there.
I think Undead is easily my favourite ever. However, earlier this year, because we were playing, it's happened in a few over the past couple of years. We've had a few encounters with jellies and cubes, gelatinous cubes, that kind of thing, black puddings, and we played Scarlet Citadel, and there's a whole level dedicated to oozes of all different kinds. And just absolutely fell in love with them, and that's it. That's now my favourite creature is some oozes, gelatinous cubes. Some great artwork out there for them as well. We have a question. Mod Brew. So, are you guys racing, painting, and chatting? Kind of, yeah. So, it's not exactly a race. We have an hour and 45 minutes to paint a mini. We're kind of showcasing the new Frameworks minis from WizKids, which are sprue-based minis. And you can see on the right-hand side of the screen some various artwork. We're chatting because we're hanging out. It's very zen. Hopefully you can hear us. The music isn't too loud. Is it a race? No. However, the gold stars are what we are competing for. So Richard is our professional painter. He is our guest for this episode. And every episode we have a different professional painter come and join us. I am the complete beginner. Steve is a few levels above me, but we started this at the same time. And at the end of this episode, so in half an hour, you, the audience, will get to judge us. And Richard gets the final vote, so you can sway his vote as much as you wish. And whoever wins is given the gold star. I would say it's purely for bragging rights, but I don't know. I think we have to turn it into like bar drinks or something. Who buys around? Steve, you got to sort out the cost for the UKGE.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
We'll sort it out. So yeah, that's what it's all about. And that's it really. We'll wrap up the stream, and then this will go live on YouTube over the weekend. But check out our YouTube channel, Band of Badgers, youtube.com/Band of Badgers. We've got all kinds of shows. We do games, we do interviews, unboxing videos, and painting. So do check it out, please do. And hopefully we'll be seeing more of Richard soon. And Mod Brew, if you happen to be in the UK, and if you happen to be near Gatwick, we've got a Badgers barbecue coming. Who knows? Come and join us. And that's it, yeah. Dragonborn Bard, he says, so the die cube was Ace Day. The loot I'm painting at the mo is gelatinous humanoids. I'll post some pics later so you can see. Yeah, gelatinous humanoids. That reminds me, I saw today, probably on Instagram or Twitter, someone had done, they're doing pin-up models. And they've done a gelatinous cube pin-up. It looked amazing. I'll have to find out who it is and see if I can get it back out there. But fantastic mini artwork, not mini. So how are we all doing? Richard, you look like you're doing a very delicate piece there.
See if I can get a good little picture on him. Yeah, was that one better? No, not the greatest quality.
It's always tricky trying to get it right into... What I do is, because my camera is top down, what I do is pinch zoom. And that seems to... You don't have to worry about focus. You can just zoom in.
Let's have a look.
Zoop. Richard, what's your Instagram?
Instagram is Warrior Prince 3D. I can chuck you a link for it. Bear with me 2 seconds.
Mod Brew Queen's birthday weekend. Yep, over there for you. We just had our Platinum Jubilee, which was last weekend, which was manic. But yeah, always good. Always love having it. We've got loads of Aussie friends, Mod Brew. I don't know if you know them. Split the Party, Brain Beast Studios. Who else we got, Steve?
In Ardent Roleplay.
Ardent Roleplay, Arkenforge. Check them all out. Jasper's Game Day, Australia. We played with them. Meeples and Dragons. Shout out to all our Aussie friends.
And dice.
Level Up Dice.
Level Up Dice.
Yeah. Yeah. So you just woke up in the morning. Good, having breakfast. Draco663, thank you for following.
Oh, that's me posting up the Instagram.
Ah, there you go. Well, you thank me for following. Yeah, so that must have been Nick or Joe. Joe was the one with the mohawk, or the shaved mohawk. Nick is the guy who likes to play with fire. Alright, so I think this one's nearly dry now. You can see again. I don't know if the camera's really going to pick that up. Keeps focusing on his hand, but look at the face. You can see like he's got a look on his face, but you can see how the eyebrows are coming down and the skin is taut across that. The detail on this is incredible, and the colour of the tongue. That's the Warlord purple of Valhalla. Zoom out a little bit. So lots of stuff going on. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, this is the previous session. This is episode 3, session 3. This is my white from last week's session with my black silver dry brush sword. Which is looking, I love the skin colour on him. And then the first episode I did Dritzt. He's not finished yet, I need to still finish him. I need to sort out the swords and the quiver. Because look at that detail. So I still need to finish him, find the time.
Yeah, I did finish my monk.
You're drunken monk.
My drunken monk with a 1,000 fist.
Yep.
Add-on. So yeah, I've finished him. I'll take some pictures and post them. They do take the paint really well, I have to say. The models are lovely to paint.
I found that with printed stuff. I tried to get some feedback off people at first when I was using different resins. The Ceratec resin that I use it's very nice to paint, and I found it one of the better ones to sort of paint with, in comparison to other stuff.
Yeah, do you find the material makes a big difference to the finished product when it is?
It's a massive difference. 2 resins I will use for miniatures, and that's it. That's a Ceratec Fast Navy Grey and Epax 10 hard grey. I've got a fine example of Epax up here, because the problem is it's not available in this country, and it costs a lot to get it in from America, which is the only bane of it. But this is Epax.
Oh, that's nice. Mod Brew has done a request all the way from Australia, because he's having all the way from tomorrow, because he's in Saturday already.
Oh,
this is Friday night for us. He would like to quickly see our minis now, so he can place his vote. So if you can shove it sounds rude. Shove your mini in the camera. I love that brown tone though on the Minotaur. That is looking really nice.
Is this going to focus? Here's mine. I've started to do
blend in from purple. Yeah.
And then it's purple and blue on the back.
Oh, very nice.
Red on the front. Picking up the object source highlighting from the flame bolt.
Cool. And there you go. And you can see my one. Mine's the ghoul, my little undead. Trying to get some definition on the skin tones. I see. Yeah. So who's the vote? And then Richard gets to pull the trigger on it. But pass your vote. Jedi Wicker. I see you hiding there at the back. You on the left. I see you. How are we doing? And Jedi, if you are there, You can't vote for Richard. He's professional. You have to pick me. Mod, you have to pick me or Steve. Richard's the artist. He's the guest.
Yeah, I'm guest. I'm not allowed to be voted. I have got to say, I do love the quality and the detail of these minis. You know, off the sprue stuff, I can't sort of fault it. It's beautifully done.
Yeah.
I've got to say, some of the better ones I've seen around.
Mod is saying it's still Richard wins. Yeah, that's the point. We're beginners. Did I leave that bit out? We're beginners. We're amateur painters. That's the point.
I still consider myself an amateur painter. So that's fine.
No chance. Jedi, yeah, he's lurking. How are we doing, Jedi? What? Any updates? How are we doing with Wave 2? How are we doing with WizKids paints? Hopefully we've got to sort out dates, but we're going to be seeing Jedi again in July. We're painting. Hopefully, we're building and painting a Balor. Now that is a beast.
That I'm looking forward to seeing.
I'm already nervous. I just started sweating. I'm already nervous about it. Wow, he's reviewing the frame layouts. Wow, fantastic. Wave 2 is Jedi, he works at WizKids. Friday afternoons he gets to chill a little bit because he's been our guest on here before. But yeah, there you go. Wave 2 is in review.
I'm looking forward to seeing some more. I was hoping to get me mitts on the Mind Flayer as well. I'm not gonna lie, so I might be having a look at that.
I've built that and primed it.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's waiting to go. I've even got I've dug out a special base for it as well. So there's a guy we know, Cerberus Studios.
Yeah.
He does this really nice minis. They're resin as well, but he's got a range of bases that he's done. So he's got like cobblestone ruins and stuff like that, and they do them various sizes. And I bought some last year, and I've been looking for an excuse to use them. And the Frameworks Mind Flayer's got a lovely flat base that will go really well with one of the tumble down ruins, and you get a little brain beast with it as well. So I've primed up the base, primed up the Mind Flayer. I'm going to paint that up and make it look really nice.
I've just had a thought actually. I am gonna put some little gloss varnish on his tongue, make it really icky. Yeah, bit of gloss. So Mod has actually voted for me. He says Steve is coming along, really loves the colours, but he thinks he has to give it to Dave for the showmanship. I don't think that's got anything to do with painting, but I'll take it. Thank you very much, Mod. Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed.
Have you got any of the Dave? Have you got any of the pallid flesh colours
there? Not with me. I might have some to hand though.
So
you've got dead flesh, haven't you?
I've got a dead flesh. Yeah, I was just going to use the. I'm going to use gloss varnish on his tongue, but. Yeah, we tried dead flesh before. I tried dead flesh on the my ogre. I did a zombie ogre.
Oh yeah.
And it's Steve did a much better colouring on his zombie ogre than what I did.
I was really pleased with the way that turned out.
Yeah.
If you got that, did I give that to you?
No, I got my one.
Right. Okay. That's been misplaced in the move then.
So all I'm doing is applying a small amount of gloss varnish just on the ghoul's tongue, because it is a very, very good tongue. I don't know what that means, but it just means that it will retain, it will make it look wet, and as you can see, it will pick up the light and reflection and make it look really nasty on for your players at the table. that shiny kind of tongue. Ugh. Especially when you manage to get a player on the floor and then the ghoul slowly kind of inches over them. You get a whole kind of tongue face lick that we've seen. It's always nice. It's always nice to terrify your players with some icky, slimy tongues. Then again, most of my players like that. Not slimy tongues.
So yeah, could be getting people in trouble there.
Basically, it's just getting slimed because they all go. Ugh! And it probably terrifies them more than like a barbarian coming towards them with an axe.
Apparently, I play slimy characters, NPCs too well, and creep people out.
We have another Rurid has voted for Steve.
Oh, thank you very much.
Impressed you haven't bust the spike off or accidentally stabbed yourself. There's still time. We still have time. It looks fab. So there you go.
Thank you.
That's one apiece. Maybe this is the way to do it. Get early votes. Get those early votes in.
You could get discouraged, so couldn't you? Or motivated, depending on your outlook in life.
But Dave, your mini's crap. Like, well, I'm going to hang up then. I'm going to take my paints and go. This is the point. We're all still learning. We learn together. I am by no means a professional painter.
The best way to play it is learn every day, because
yes.
you always learn something new.
Indeed. I like your painting handle, Richard. Where did you get that from?
Amazon.
Really?
Yeah, and it's a brilliant thing because it's magnetized and comes in pieces, and this bit comes off.
Yeah.
And you've got multiple ones. So I've got a little pile of them here. So if you've done a couple of models. I
have not seen that before. It does look nice. Oh, Dragonborn Bard is voting for Steve for the OSL.
Yes, this is the second time I've tried this. I did it before on one of the mages we painted quite a long time ago with Angeli. And I still like it. I look at it and I hate it, and I look at it and I really like it. So it's one of those catches in the right light and looks really good. And in the wrong light it looks like pile of crap. But I've got it on the keep shelf at the moment, so I'm currently liking it, which is why I tried it again tonight.
What else have we got going on? Who else is in chat? If you have a question for Richard, we're now down to less than 15 minutes. So if you want to do an early vote, please do. Jump in. It's 2-1 against me at the moment. Although if you would like to be a guest player or a guest painter on our shows, vote for me. Because that's the only way you're getting on. It's through me. You have to go through me.
Has to be done.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you haven't painted yet, Richard, that you're wanting to paint, looking forward to painting? I think you talked about the Lord of the Prince dragon. Is there a particular one you want to do?
Yeah, bear with me and I'll show you.
What we need to do as well is do like a tour of everyone's painting desks, because Richard is very... Oh, hold on a sec. What I'm going to do is... Oh no, it's good. It's fine there. That's nice. What is that?
It's one of the... I think it's one of the red dragons. I've still got to print its wings because of...
yeah.
Because obviously with the patrons, they cater for smaller printers.
Yeah.
So my biggest pet peeve is seeing a dragon wing in 6 pieces. because no matter what, when you print something, even if it's printed to perfection, you try and put things back together, they will not go back together. You've always got to do a bit of shaving, a bit of, you know, a little bit of mini part or anything like that. So I try and do the wings as one pieces, and these wings are 13-hour prints.
Wow.
So and I've got to support them myself, so it's just a case of making sure they're right. But this is a dragon I had my eye on for a very long time, and it's part of the welcome box. So yes, very much looking forward to this one. This one I think is actually one of Mini Monster Mayhem's dragons, but it is one of the most beautiful dragons I've found so far. So that is my goal for dragon painting.
Jedi is in chat and he's shouting out, "Preach it!"
Yeah, I have painted the dragon, sort of. I haven't finished it. I've never painted a really big one.
I've started one of the artisan ones. I've got Chromatar the Elder, which is a beautiful dragon, but I have a very bad problem with starting models and never finishing them. So I have lots of half-started models that I need to sort of get my arse in gear and finish.
Well, you got 10 minutes.
Yeah, so crack on.
Yeah, Jedi's just saying, because Jedi, for those of you who don't know, is JD Wicker. Go back and check out our Frameworks episode 1. And we've also done an interview with him, actually, a Q&A. So go and check him out. He mentions the purple dragon that he shows. And he said each wing was 6 pieces.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, especially when some of the cuts some people do when they're mid webbing. It's so hard to then make that marry up. One of the ways I did early on was sort of using resin itself, and then just the raw resin, sealing it and curing it and shaving it down that way. Was one of the better ways to get it.
Jedi says he still has PTSD about it.
Completely understandable.
I think I asked him at the time, actually, but I'll put the same question to you. Is when you do, because all the various painters we've had on as guests, everyone, I think, has always done something big. And I've seen that stuff that you've done, like with Wolverine and with Hulk. Does that build up? You go, I've got to do something big. You do it, and then you've got to let that charge up again. You can't go straight into another big build. Or big paint.
It's some sort of qualifying thing to become a pro artist. Like Jedi's like lightsabers. You have to do something bigger than 18 inches.
Well, the Wolverine was the biggest piece I've ever done, as one whole piece.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely I mean, I've had Juggernaut sitting here for quite a while now, and I couldn't even sort of crack back on with him. And every so often I'll do a little bit more on him, sort of thing. But yeah, it definitely takes a bit of a bit of a build up into sort of wanting to do it again. But the beautiful thing about the Wolverine was it was done in stages. So I started from the bottom and just worked my way up. So it was almost like lots of little projects, because the base was 2 layers. So I did the bottom bit and then the big rock part of the base. Then started with the bike, the wheels, the engine. I used a chrome paint with the engine. This stuff, liquid chrome mirror effect, the most beautiful chrome effect you'll ever see. But don't ever touch it for 5 or 6 days after you painted it, because it has to take that long to dry.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a frustrating thing to use, but at the same time, totally worth it.
Well, we are down to the last 5 minutes. This is you don't have to finish, but just try and make it as good as you can. So Richard, what's your finishing techniques? Do you do dry brushing? Do you do washing? Do you Do you ever go back and do sort of extra details?
I find I tend to. I love dry brushing. It's one of those things that there's sort of multi sort of layers to it. Washing, I find, is a wonderful thing, but at the same time, it drowns things out. I found doing washes and the contrast through the airbrush have such a different effect to just painting it on. It really does change the end result of it, sort of thing. And is, especially when you're underpainting as well, is worth it.
Yeah, doing those degrees of paints and shading paints. That's something I've not yet ventured into. I need a confident mini, a large mini to practice on. I think it's
one of the things that I will say as well is get yourself a bottle of this.
Yeah.
Glaze Medium. It changed my life. It was one of those things that I always struggled with, obviously, with, because paint does dry out, it doesn't always flow, water doesn't always give you the effects you sort of desire. Glaze Medium is a beautiful thing. It literally it waters down the paint, you don't lose any pigment, it flows so much nicer, it helps you build up layers if you want to do a bit of glazing. It goes through the airbrush as well, so you can do it when you do colours through the airbrush. And when you're painting metallics, it is a godsend, because metallics get very cloggy and dry out very quickly. Bit of Glaze Medium in it and they flow beautifully.
I didn't know you could use it with metallics. Ah, okay. I thought metallics was always its own beast.
They are a beast indeed, but no.
Good to know. Let's see if Jedi's still around. Let's see if he is. Jedi. Another quick question. I saw. I don't know if it was last week or whenever. We've been doing all these conventions and it's getting a bit head spinny at the moment. We've got our Badgers barbecue coming up in 2 weeks' time, and we got back from UK Games Expo last week, and it was great. We were doing some Citadel miniature painting because Citadel had a table thing. So we're doing loads of. We're so busy. What was I going to ask? I don't know. Oh, that was it. I saw the WizKids started doing some pictures of the new paint series. I know you were mixed. They were being produced by Valhalla. They look fantastic. The little case. I think it's a set of 40 paints. I don't know when the release date is, or as and when we get them in the UK. But keep me posted. We'll have...
I'd love a look at them when they come out.
Vallejo also have a new set of fantasy paints. It's like the cardboard sets that you've got on the side, Richard. It's one of them, and I think it's just called Fantasy, but it's their latest one.
Okay. Yeah, I do love my Vallejo. I've got tends to be the
full-on station. So this is why we said about we need a tour. We need
so the guided tour. So
yeah, one of the things we did with Jedi when he was on, he took a photo of his desk, and I was like, look at that, it's amazing. See, wow. So how many paints do you think you have?
A couple of hundred. So I've got obviously washes, contrasts, different layers. Hopefully organised by colour. The Vallejo, I've got me the box sets, base colours, dry brushes, airbrush colours, airbrush metallics, the Vallejo airbrush metallic sets, and the airbrush flesh set as well. A couple of technicals and stuff behind there, my inks and my spares.
Very nice.
Yeah, a nice little setup. It is my haven corner. I'm trying to get basically my next purchase for myself is a new overhead light, because this one's just not quite cutting the mustard for me, unfortunately.
Funny you mentioned that. Again, Jedi's desktop. You have to share it, Jedi. He saw this thing somewhere on Reddit, I think it was, and he's got 2 overarching loops. So Richard, go back to our first episode where Jedi's on, and he's got these 2 overarching LED loops. It's just so you got basically 3-dimensional lights going rather than like having a ring light and directional.
Yeah,
the light is all around. Looks really nice.
That would be wicked.
And it's a DIY job, but it looks cool. Jedi also just confirmed the new WizKids line of their own official paints, produced by Vallejo. He says they're 30 paints in a case. So check them out when they're available. And you get a handy little carry case.
When are they available for us?
Don't know. I'm assuming this year. If they've already got the pictures out, it depends. Obviously, WizKids are based in the States. We're still having international shipping delays and problems and expenses and everything else. So we'll get them at your friendly local gaming store as soon as people can deliver it. Considering we're just about to go into a haulers strike, it might be a while. Oh, there you go. And he's just added that there are 2 cases, a basic starter case and an intermediate case. I think I may be bragging, but I think I'm past the basic. I'm gonna move myself up into the intermediate range. I need to.
I should applaud that.
I will. Well, I don't know. I don't think I've hit 60 hours yet, but I'm definitely between 50 and 60 hours.
You're definitely beyond beginner, I think. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you were talking a lot more about colour selection now.
Yes. Well. I'm doing pre-colour selection. Last episode 2, we were doing. I was doing some colour mixing on the wet palette, and that was quite nice, quite funky to do. I was doing that for skin tone as well. That was really, I enjoyed that.
Skin tone is what I struggle with.
Well, his skin was purple, so it wasn't so bad.
That's not too bad. It's the natural. It's the human skin tone.
Yeah. The natural skin purple is what I was aiming for. Oh, I just noticed we've run out of time. You guys had extra time, look.
You could give me a 2-hour over and I still wouldn't have finished, so.
No. But, let's finish off. Are you painting the tongue or the teeth, Steve?
I'm painting the tongue. But I'm not going to finish because that's going to take about 3 coats to cover black. So I will put my paintbrush down and I'll finish there. I'll finish it.
Okay, so
that will take more work. It's a big model.
We during the show, Jedi has gone. Sorry, Dave. Have to vote for Steve today. Sadly, Jedi won't be joining us in July. We're gonna... Reaper minis are just on the phone right now. That's going to come back now. Right, so it's free vote. We're getting pre-votes now. 3 pre-votes for Steve, 1 for me, and 1 for Richard to win. Apparently. So, Steve, you're going to have to get your mini in focus. I love saying that.
Right.
But before we do, I was going to say, Richard, talk us through. If you can move it slightly to your right, I think. There you go. So you're in the middle of my screen. There you go. Talk us through your Minotaur.
My Minotaur. So I tried to sort of get some nice. I don't know if you can see the brown variant on the chest. Get a bit of a nice sort of fur effect, and obviously trying to get a couple of light and dark browns in there. I was quite sort of chuffed for that. Fur on the legs, would have done a little bit more with. Hair wasn't too bad. Fur face was quite nice. You just had to play around with the teeth a bit more and finish the metal on the belt.
Yeah.
I was lazy with the base and I didn't do that. But yeah, I was quite chuffed with the main overall flesh and the shading of the. Let's have a watch where it is on the back.
Yeah.
Back is awesome, and I really like.
Oh
the
yeah,
leather,
you can see
the leather
that.
details as well.
Is that skin or is that armor?
Skin on his back is skin.
Wow.
So you got the folds in his back.
Yeah.
And obviously trying to sort of keep it lighter as the light comes down on his shoulders.
Yeah. That is really
that
nice.
Detail in that hair as well has come out really nice.
Oh yeah, I like that. I did a slight shade in the hair as well.
What's the bit you're most pleased of?
Chest piece.
Yeah.
Chest and back. Most pleased with that.
I love that belt. That belt really pops. That kind of wrestler's belt. He's got his boxing championship belt on there.
That's it. Gotta love that. But yeah, love the
Fantastic.
model. Nice one to paint. Nice wood. Hadn't got around to the axe, but the wood detail on the half of the axe is beautiful. That bit, you can bring that. You better bring that out quite nicely.
Yeah.
I'm better get into focus.
Yeah,
as well.
I painted the dwarf cleric last episode, and the detailing on the shaft there was really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Cool. Very nice. Okay, so Richard, now you get Jedi is saying you get 2 votes now. So you got a question actually from Jedi. He's saying, Richard, are you planning to play up the maze design that's on the axe? So have a look at the detail. Has that come out?
So
There's a maze design.
No, you see that's on the other axe. And had I been a bit more organised, what I was going to do was I was going to cut off the maze design axe.
Oh, and stick it on that one.
Axe head and put it on this one.
That's a nice idea though.
The maze design axe, I love that because obviously it's the nod to the traditional Minotaur in the maze. So, but I did love that, and I would have done what I would have done with that was had the outer edges, the normal sort of dull looking metal, a nice gold for the maze with sort of silver outlining as well, just to bring out some of the edges, which I would have thought would have been quite cool. And obviously had the inlay black. But yes,
that's a really nice feature.
I was a bit gutted because I just preferred this pose, and as I said, had I been more forethinking, I was going to get it all cut off and sorted, but I didn't get around to it, unfortunately.
Okay, Steve, let's take a look at the Beholder.
Right. So, is that in focus?
Yep.
Right, so I haven't finished. I spent quite a lot of time on doing the dry brushing for the attempts at object source lighting. I think I still could have done some more with the highlights. It's still pretty low, and I've wet blended the firebolt, so that's still pretty wet. That needs some more detail work, and then a little bit of dry brush on the edges because there is a lovely shape to the fire. It's okay for the first pass, but it definitely needs some more layers on there on the wet blend. And then on the reverse, because that's not being picked up by the fire, I've gone for blue.
Can you lift it up a little bit, Steve?
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's it.
So that's a blue base, and then just coming up again with the dry brushing to pick up the highlights. A little bit of highlighting on the front.
I love how you've done that on the tentacles as well.
Oh, well, picked out the highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
nice.
I'm trying to get better at thinking about where the light comes from and where it gets picked up. So if you can see on the long one there, I think that was my favourite. There's a couple of them that come out particularly well, but I like the long one picking up the edges.
Cool.
In the light. And then I've only just really started doing the front because I've primed in black. That will take quite a few layers of paint to base colour in. And I didn't start doing the eye because I knew I wouldn't finish. So
what's been your best bit?
I think picking out the highlights on the eye stalks with both the object source and the blue. I think the blue I've got.
Lift it up a bit, Steve.
The blue I've got the highlighting a little bit better because you can pick up the low, the mid, and the high. The highlighters a bit better. I think with the red on the front, I've lost the mid-tones and the highlighting. I could go a bit higher with highlighting, so I'll probably go back over that.
What's the base on this one?
What, the base colour?
No, the base, the stand.
Yeah, the actual base.
Ah, right, yeah, okay. So what you get is you get a clear plastic
one,
intermediate piece, and then a sort of a two-layered plastic, quite a large piece to go on the clear plastic base. But again, what I will do is I will stick that on, and then this will go on another base that I've got on a Cerberus Minis base, because I want to make a little decorative piece out of this.
Yeah.
I probably won't use this on the table because I'd be worried about transporting it and breaking that off.
Yeah.
I love this model. I think it's great. Even just turning it around now and looking at it and looking at where the highlights have picked up, I really like this model. Really do like this model.
Cool. Right. There we go. Over to me. This one's been here. This one, you say it's kind of fairly easy to paint. It's a two-tone colour. So I've used. What did I use? I used a wolf grey for the skin, and leather brown for just the straps and his loincloth there. Then a simple wash to get that definition of the muscles and the skin. Because I don't know how to do the layers of the paints, so the wash actually helps. Again, if you're a beginner, the washes can help with definition. You can see how well it works on his. That's not 2 shades of brown on his backside there. That's the wash that actually helps create that shadow for you.
Dry brushing is your friend as well. I used to, because I couldn't do layers when I first started, and I still sort of have bangs with it now. Dry brushing is the beauty of that. When you've done the wash and you go over, with a nice dry brush, you can bring out and make the corners pop.
Yeah.
And the muscles and the folds and bits and pieces.
And you can see he's got this giant, horrible tongue. And all I've done there is use a gloss varnish to make it all slimy and slippery. So that will stay on. Hopefully that will stay on there. So you've got his matte, dirty, dry skin and this kind of big slippery tongue. So when you have that chasing after your heroes on the gaming table, that will really go a long way. And he's, again, one of the nice things about these minis, because these bits are not soft. It's not soft plastic. These are really sharp fingernails he's got. It is very, very strong. So,
zoom out a bit more.
Zoom out a bit more, yeah.
What was your favourite bit to do on it?
Definitely the tongue, because it just makes it come alive.
It does.
Even on, if I can stop the camera from shaking, even you see on the forehead, let's use this, you can see like the lines of skin on the forehead. Just, well, I was talking about that earlier, which are fantastic. The detail you can get when you look at his rib cage as I rotate it around. It's an amazing level of detail.
It is.
The muscle definition, the bones, the structure, it's great. So yeah, I'm always a big fan of Undead. We have a private game opening up soon, which is Icewind Dale. We're going to be doing photos and some mini movies, some YouTube shorts and stuff. But yeah, this will be the first encounter that the players will be seeing. For like it's kind of a session 0 encounter, really. And there you go. We are done. So Richard, you get to make the final vote. We've had pre-votes of 3 to Steve versus 1 to me, and as always, no expense spared. We start the drum roll, Steve, and the star goes round and round and round the screen. If you've ever seen this bit, this is the best bit of the show by far.
And my vote will go to Steve.
Well done! Joing. We need a kind of like, sound effects.
Mainly for the wonderful colouring on the back of the beholder, the wet blending on the magic effect, and the overall colour scheme.
Thank you.
I loved it, and I love a beholder.
We do love a beholder. We need
I need to finish painting mine.
We got cheers, Steve. Well done. I will
you.
switch over to big cameras now, if you're able to do the same. There we go. Huzzah! Best cheer I can manage in text. Huzzah to everyone. Thank you all for joining us. Steve, we lost you. You got to reset. There you go. Thank you very much, Richard. Lovely to have a chat with you again.
Thank you very, very much for having me. It's been a good giggle.
There you go, and that's it. You just can't. There's lots of kind of hesitation about kind of coming on. But when you come on, it's just a hangout. It's a bit of a zen. It's a bit of a chit chat. And
let me know when I can come and play again. So it's all good.
Well, I said we've got the barbecue coming up, so do join us for that. Because again, so Jedi, just to let you know, Richard is just based down the road from me, not too far, UK time. So if you need another UK based professional artist, contact Richard. Go to him directly. You don't have to go through me. Just contact him directly. We'd love to see more stuff. And cool. That's it. We will see you next week. We are back with episode 4 with Dragonborn Bard, who's been in our chat there. He will be joining us. And
looking forward to that one.
He will be painting the Drider. So I hate spiders, but yeah, he's going to be painting the Drider. So join us for that if you like giant creepy crawlies, which are joined with human counterparts.
Drow counterparts.
Drow counterparts.
Are we allowed to talk about what we're building?
If you want to, you want to let it out. I don't know which one to paint yet. What am I going to paint? Maybe I should do the beholder.
We could do the beholder or the ogre.
I'm thinking the ogre.
Yeah, the ogre is a nice looking mini.
Ogre would be a good one.
And it'd be slightly bigger, so it'd be kind of beholder size, I think.
I'm going with the night hag.
Oh, I love the little gingerbread man and the ghosts. There's some shapes in the mist and stuff. But anyway,
yeah, there is, yeah. That's
all for next week. Do join us for that. Check us out on not Facebook. Well, we're on Facebook, but we don't really use it. Check us out on YouTube. YouTube.com/bandit.
I'll just put the link in.
There you go. And cheers. See you all. Good night. See you next time. Bye bye. Be safe and all that jazz. See you later.